How you doing? This is George with Truck Driver Nation. So what we're fixing to go over is going to be basically the webinar. I did this webinar for everybody, but every time I do it, the speed is like a little bit fast. I'm going to short trim this some. So for everybody that wants to see what's going on, that this should actually make it a little bit easier. So anyways, let's get started so we can get through it. So basically, I'm welcoming you to Truck Driver Nation. This is basically where we're going over the portions about, what we do. We support you. We actually, in your overall endeavor of being a freight dispatcher, what you have access to, not just the core data for being a freight dispatcher, but all the extra information that we provide to you, even in relation to securing your initial owner operators, the affiliate programs that we have where you can actually work with Truck Driver Nation as an independent freight dispatcher, but you still have the assets and benefits of obviously partner having like an affiliate partnership with us. And then in the final basic concept, as you're partnering with us, the different things that we can actually assist you with to actually grow and become very productive before you finally decide, if you finally decide to obviously step away from Truck Driver Nation to do your own thing. Now, with our students, what we do, we do it virtually. We do have our classrooms, but we're not really doing classrooms much these days because it's so expensive to do it that way that people do really actually like doing it virtually because they can easily do it at their own pace. The drivers can do it on the road. They can use our content as audiobooks, so it makes it a lot more proficient for them. And obviously, everything's busted up in the webinars or in the videos. And then obviously we can do webinars and we do continued educations where basically people ask questions and I fill in the gaps because even though they know the content, the actual practical aspect is a deficit that we still deal with because people don't always know how to address certain issues. And yeah, it's common knowledge, but like I tell people, there's no stupid question, and people are always learning, including myself. So anybody that ever comes to you and tells you, "Oh, I know it all," or whatever, or they come off like that, just walk away from them. That's not the type of people you want around you. But obviously, we do have dispatch jobs. If you once you get certified, if you want to go with one of the carriers that we actually recruit drivers for as well, that's more than an option. Cannot guarantee you that they'll hire you, but we can obviously submit your resume, your application, and your certification that you acquired from Truck Driver Nation. And I do speak on your behalf. I'm not being mean, but I do tell them the truth of my overall opinion of where you're at and what you might need. And now, based on that information, in addition to your credentials and your past work history, they make their decisions independently of me. So, real industry connections. Since I've been in trucking about 30 years, you got plenty of asset-based carriers and independent dispatchers I do hook you up with. As far as people that, they're at the webinars. We just have meetings and all that good stuff. And you actually more or less organically to some degree actually meet with them. If I have dispatchers that I know that if you get a hold of me and let me know what you're doing, then in that aspect, I can assist you and maybe talking to a dispatcher that might be a great fit that I know outside you just soliciting brokers to find out who can help you. Now, obviously, you can easily go into the low boards, secure the freight that you need based on the given rate. But the whole point behind what we're looking at these days is the baseline it requires for a truck to make a profit and your ability to secure that freight. And you have to actually take owner operators and get them to understand this is the current situation based on the markets. Now, being an independent freight dispatcher, obviously, you can exceed those marks based on what everybody else is saying, but you're going to have to actually employ different tactics to exceed this because you can't just follow the next rabbit or goat or whatever ahead of you and expect them not to run you off the end of a cliff. So make sure to stay independent of the herd and be objectively thinking about how you would do it. And if you can put it into even a hypothetical situation, good chances are if you work at it, you can employ it and actually being part of your regular routine of securing freight. And I know it sounds a little thin, but trust me on this. I don't follow people. I do my own thing with freight dispatching. I'm not going to take free freight. I'm not going to give my services away free to the owner operators because I do my absolute best to do a lot of stuff for them that's way outside the normal spectrum of what most freight dispatchers do. Now, obviously, outsourcing is a great tool that I have in my toolbox, because I've got access to people mainly out of the Philippines is as a main place that I outsource. Um, Obviously, the course material, by the way, you do get lifetime. That basically, you once you get it turned on, it's yours. Um, Also, you can also do the freight brokerage and driver recruiter if you choose to. But obviously, a lot of people just stick to doing the freight dispatch, and that satisfies their needs, and so be it. Now, the tool and trade secrets, you do have to do a non-disclosure agreement. We do network with each other very closely because I don't need you messing my business up, but I don't mind sharing some of the stuff that I see your given situation. I'll tell you really what you're going to need to do. But you do have to be a student. I'm not going to give that way to people that are just calling because, oh, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Let me call this guy and he'll tell me. That's not going to happen. If you do that, my guys pay whatever they do for their tuition. Obviously, you're going to give me at least a couple $1,000s for me to actually give you the information that I use even in the practice of my own business. Ongoing mentorship and support, we do provide that. At some point, you're going to probably grow beyond the means of needing me, but that's fine. But while you're in your growth and development aspect of learning how to dispatch and being proficient at it, then obviously I'm available for you. In the aspect of being able to afford this course, we've done a lot of different things to ensure that you can go into Truck Driver Nation, go to the pay portal, or go to the pay as you go, and you do have to have that information on the pay as you go because it's in-house financing. Obviously, we have collection agencies and all that good stuff. So please don't make us send them after you because we do actually, if we go to court, you do sign an agreement that you are absolutely agreeing that you're going to pay for all the court costs and everything in aspect of that. Because if you find this offensive and in some way derogatory toward you right now, that means your intentions are already in that aspect. If you plan on doing the best and being honest with us, then we are more than willing to work with you. But there's so much scamming and stuff going on, from double brokering to people that trying to approach us to get programs and stuff like that. This is not outside the scope of the regular business practices these days to obviously secure my business and ensure that we don't get pulled down by people's alternative, um, not notions, but intentions. Demand, obviously, there's a great demand for dispatchers. People think, well, okay, we got more trucks than we do freight, so why would there be dispatchers being such a need? The thing is, it's like being the elite 1%. The dispatchers that are worth any quality are the ones that they're actually looking for, and the return on your investment is minimalistic in the aspect of what you got to invest to get going with Truck Driver Nation, to get educated and get brought up to speed is minimal and compared to what you're actually going to generate as a return on your investment. Um, so taking that, we're going forward. How many owner operators are there? There is literally, this is straight from the FMCSA, and it's also the United States Board of Labor and Statistics, that there's somewhere around 1 million plus that are actual owner operators. Now, that's going to be independent owner operators from what the information said that are totally independent of being signed on to carriers. So that means these guys actually have their own MCs and stuff like that. They're not major carriers. But thing is, I couldn't find out, like what is the number of trucks below that they're actually pulling this data with. But so that I don't know. So sorry about that, but I did the best I could do. Now, what is the real need for freight dispatchers? So like I said, owner operators, they want to drive. They don't want to dispatch. You do all the backwork paperwork and everything for them, watch their back, then you're going to actually be a good dispatcher and know your job. Brokers don't have always have prioritized the that best interest of the owner operators. We all know that. It's the nature of the business, but I'm not putting down owner operators because I do have the ability to freight this. I mean, be a freight agent with the owner operator that actually has his own brokerage license. But that being said, you're looking at it doesn't matter who it is. Okay. I always look at everybody with a level of suspicion and being constantly aware of their surroundings about what people's intentions are. And sometimes it takes a lot before they're actually revealed. But sometimes, if you're good at this, if you ask the right questions, then you can find this out a lot quicker and prevent from actually damaging or causing, um, a drop in revenue or whatever it may concern when it comes to this. Now, the freight market is highly fragmented right now, depending on the load boards, depending on the trailers. Yes, it is fragmented in the situation that there is a big change going on inside logistics. Um, so I don't have a lot to address this. I just know this. My gross revenue is not that bad. Um, could I do better? Possibly. But if you're going to work with big mega carriers, you have to understand that the way that this is broke down is everything from where the owner operator secured that equipment, the percentages that they're paying on interest on that truck, on that trailer, their insurance cost, the percentage that the broker's charging on that freight before they pass it down to the dispatcher for that particular MC for that carrier, whether it's owner operator or not, or even when they're dealing directly with a carrier, the percentage that they're charging in relation to them going on with them if they don't have a MC or their MCs in back condition, in addition to the tactics that the businesses use, like extra money they keep off the fuel cards, the overall, what I'm thinking about, the overall money that they actually can take and they do take off the freight before they give the owner operator the supposed rate confirmation. They can do a lot of different things. And I'm not going to get off into this because I don't need a bunch of negative feedback. This is my home inside of logistics, but I know these practices. I've seen them firsthand, and I don't want to be indicted for some damn company that I was associated with as a freight dispatcher or worked inside their businesses. But just trust me on this; it 100% exists. Now, looking for a freight dispatcher program, look, you need to make sure that you're getting somebody that's actually going to help you. This is a list of the things. I can go down it: basic training materials, live and not limited or not live interaction, no real access to load boards or job placement, access to owner operator leads, industry connections, opportunities to grow beyond being a dispatcher, and application of strategy. Like I tell everybody, strategy is number one. The rest of it is filler. I absolutely am there. This is a one-on-one type of course. That means you're virtually a student. When you get hung up, you call the office, engage, get an appointment, and I will actually come through and I will spend a one-on-one time with you to bring you up to speed. I'm not going to teach you the course. You've got to study the content. It took me a hell of a long time to develop the book, develop those videos, and everything. I'm not complaining, but I'm letting you know. I've get people that say, "Well, I don't know software." I can easily teach you software, but you're going to have a self-initiative to study the content. I've got everything on every piece of platform that I use myself. For me to do every piece of software and tell you how to use it and how you can integrate it into what you're doing, you're going to have to watch the videos. You get out of this what you put into it, and absolutely you can be successful. People are successful every day that have actually graduated from us or got certified. And we're still dealing with them today. The people that are actually engaging me get what they actually ask for because they're engaging me. If you don't engage me, then what do you want me to give you? Okay, what would you actually expect in realistic terms? So keep that in mind when you're looking at who you're going to actually teach you as a freight dispatcher and what you really want out of it. Do you want somebody to be candy coated and to walk you through the golden ring, which they will not do, or you want somebody that's going to give you the facts according to the logistics industry from about 30 years of experience? I don't know, what your prerogative is or what your agenda is. I would definitely make sure that whether it's me or somebody else, make sure they're not full of shit. Okay. And you can take that whichever way you want, but I want people to succeed, and I don't want somebody to downplay my company name because I worked real hard to get this far. Now, what you'll learn as freight dispatcher on the virtual course is basically everything, okay? And then a lot more. This is baseline course material right here. This is just to get you um, exposed and acclimated to the freight dispatch industry. There's a lot more and there's a lot of videos. That's the reason we have a video library. If you're an active student, there's a sheet back there. It's a PDF. You download it, fill it out which videos you want, and we send them to you. And once you open them, they're yours because there ain't no time frame on those videos. And if there's content that we don't have, make sure you get it to me, and I will actually fix one, whether I got it somewhere and maybe it wasn't to the speed that you need. Because remember, everything can be put in perspective based on the view that's being given at that given point. Yeah, a lot of it's just flat, dry information, but there's always scenarios that people want to ask, and I have no problem and go ahead and add that to the collection. So if it helps you, obviously it's going to help someone else. Now, why this course and job are ideal for digital nomads? I'm a digital nomad. That's how I was able to actually incorporate all this and spend the time to do this because I don't have the distraction of my country because I'm from the United States and I live there, got an address, the whole 9 yards. My business is registered in the United States. My bank's in the United States. And there's no way in hell I would ever give up my ability to call myself a United States redneck citizen. I'm a veteran of the United States military, and I did graduate college in the United States. But obviously, I enjoy rolling around the other countries while I still am physically able. At some point, I'll come back home and I'll lay my body to rest, probably in Mississippi. But between here and there, I'm enjoying my time on Earth and exploring the environments that the Earth has to offer. So for those that are digital nomads, do not let people say you cannot do this. Even in the United States, if you just want to travel inside the continental United States, this gives you the opportunity to absolutely do that without a blink of the eye. Continuation of the nomad life. And then how freight dispatcher can enhance your quality of life. Well, everybody knows that being on an 18 wheeler for my fellow truck drivers is a hell of a life. So this obviously gives you the freedom for everything, quality time with the family. It really lets you build your own business. So by having your own business, you've got that ability not just to help yourself, but to help those inside your family network if you want to hire inside the family. I particularly wouldn't because I love my brothers and my family to death, but we are all at odds when it comes to our opinions about how life is. And that's completely understandable. That's the right. But for people that can manage to, help inside your family, then this is a great deal for that. Or if you want to outsource or whatever you want to do, this gives you that opportunity. But the overall aspect is you can slow your rhythm, work regular hours, get that shower, eat quality food, if that's what you're up for. I mean, obviously, I seem to find fast food everywhere I go in the world. But that being said, we'll move forward. Work from home, absolutely. It's 100%. You can work from anywhere you want. Essential equipment that you're going to need that computer, smartphone, high-speed internet, and a noise canceling headset. Um, just make sure that whatever you got is suiting your needs. If your computer's locking up, then definitely address that issue. But now, you got laptops that can do everything, and you can literally go on there. I think it's Aris, ARIS, if I'm remembering right. But you can get fold-out screens that literally have three screens that slide over. Let me get my hands that slide over your laptop, and then they fold out. Well, they actually fold out, and then you slip it over. So you got one on the left, one on the right, and then you'll have one above it. Now you got a total of five monitors. You easily just plug it in with a seed adapter connection that goes inside your laptop, and there you go. Make sure you got a coolant fan up under your laptop, but that gets rid of that life of having to have 4 or 6 or whatever 32-inch monitors. Me, myself, I do my job on one monitor. So, that's a luxury kind of thing. I don't really see a necessity for me because I like going to cafes and stuff. And when you're moving your computers around a lot, it has a tendency of wanting to get broke. So just keep that in mind. Why should you become a freight dispatcher? Obviously, the earning potential is there. This right here is based off the number of trucks. If you got one or two trucks, basically you're doing about 480, 750 per truck. Just remember, this is based off of what your percentage is and what you're keeping on that truck on gross revenue for that given week. So this is just kind of a little short scalability chart where if you do 3 to 5, I mean, overall, let's just do it like this. 1 to 2 trucks, you're basically looking at making 12 to 1500 if you're really depending on that trailer now. It's going to be lower if you got crappy trailers. Like I say, crappy is like drive-in. Okay. I particularly like step deck. But if you do 3 to 5 trucks, then you're looking at maybe 1,500 to 2,200. And if you do 6 to 10, you're looking at 25 to 3,000. If the market was better, I would bring these numbers up, but I'm going based off of what the market is at this general point. But this is if you're an independent freight dispatcher. Don't think that you're not going to work for a company and they're not going to take half of what you're making. Okay, so let's not confuse these numbers. And yeah, they supposedly offer a lot of stuff, but remember all those things that they offer to these owner operators, they're charging the baseline price plus whatever their profit margin is for those given resources. So don't think anybody's doing your owner operators a favor, and they know this too. So if they've got all their own stuff, that's the only people you want to deal with, and make sure they got a good MC while we still have an MC, but soon it'll be just a USDOT number. But that being said, this is what you can generally look at as far as your gross revenue. I mean, your net revenue after you've assisted your owner operator. Now, how many trucks do you need? Give or take, 7 trucks, 10 trucks, somewhere in there. That'll get you above that $3,000 mark. But just remember, do not grow too fast. but it also depends on the trailer, like I said, and that's going to reflect what your overall net income is going to look like. Now, AI, I put this in here. I've got a guy that's doing AI, and he claims that he's going to be able to network everything together so we can get my whole business into the AI system. I haven't heard back from him yet, so that's kind of a red flag to me. And that happens very frequently, by the way, that people claim that they can provide something or do something, and they're negligent on their overall skill set. So, that being said, if you actually know how to incorporate AI into a business platform, then I would love to hear from you because, I'm taking bids. You know what I mean? So if you really know this and you've got work that you've done and you can give it to me, I would love to see it. But AI is the up and coming thing. The brokers are using it and dispatch services are using it, where it basically the computer system actually does inbound and outbound marketing, and it reaches whatever point on the algorithm where it'll actually kind of shut the conversation down, readdress it back to you as the owner, and then you can turn around and re uh, reaffirm that given whatever it might be concerning whatever issue, or go back and address it personally, get them on the phone and address it one on one. This here is just one of the pay settlements from one of the drivers that dispatched for. This just gives you the gross revenue, what I actually saw that I made on it. This is literally for me when I'm invoicing them. So keep that in mind. This was just a short run. I can't remember who. Actually, this is another dispatcher. I'm sorry, this wasn't me. This is one of the people that works for me. So he's I kind of, some people, depend on who it is, they're just afraid to break loose. So I do it like this. Now, in addition, if I'm doing it like this, I do charge a small fee because everything I have to do does cost time, and my money is time. That's just the way it goes. Get started with Truck Driver Nation training program. When you get started, first you'll sign up for the course. That means you'll pay your fee, whatever increment you're going to do, whether it's pay as you go, after pay. Pay as you go is going to be where we do um, in-house financing. The afterpay is going to be where you're paying the whole initial portion. And then, or if you just want to pay it straight out where you don't owe no money and no commitment or percentages, then you can do it that way. And that's addressed in the actual content. So make sure you go to truckdrivernation.com and look at how we broke it down so people could actually afford to do this. And then what if we do that? You get the contract signed and everything, and then Maria turns on all of your web-based classroom stuff, and you start going at it. When you get ready to do this, make sure you can get it and go. Don't, procrastinate. We see a tendency of students starting to lag behind because they lose the momentum, and as you lose the momentum, that means the information that you've already gained, you start losing it. There's an older lady that I believe she's out of Canada, and she's read the stuff two or three times. I just had a conversation with her today, and she's so excited about she learned something, and then she went back and reread it again or watched the video content again, and it brought her level of learning up again. And that's the way this works. It's not just repetition and memorization that will not get you what you need. It's actually applying it to this is my task, this is the protocol or procedure on how we do this, and you become fluid in it. Now, once the contracts and everything are done and your board's turned on, then you obviously you start running through your material. And then once you need me, you call the office and schedule one-on-one appointment sessions so we can address any outstanding issues that you're having a problem with. And that way we can keep you moving forward, even if it comes to like your negotiation skills or whatever it might be. So, because everybody's different. Some people are great and strong in one area and they're a little bit weak in other. So we bring that to speed. So there's no real deficit. Now, the complete virtual textbook, this has everything. Like I said, it has the audio visual lessons. You can use an audio book or whatever. You can do it when you want to. But like I said, keep the momentum up. I would highly suggest that. And obviously, like I said, you can study from anywhere. Like this picture here, this is actually somebody that we know from the Philippines. They're studying and learning it. And so you can do it the same way. Just you ain't got to sit there and spend 12 hours doing this unless you're a workaholic like myself, but you just get the job done and that way you can keep moving forward. Now, the virtual ebook, if you only want to get the book, it's got the videos and everything with it without the classroom and everything. It's a lot cheaper. You can go in there, you obviously can see the pricing on it, but you don't get none of the accessory stuff like I mean, you get the videos, but you don't get live instructor led sessions. So if you need me like a one-on-one coaching or mentorship, you don't get that. No job placement assistance, access to private support community. That means when we have webinars and whatever. no really assignments or anything like that. I don't really give out assignments. I find out that that's just not feasible because I got so many truck drivers that they just don't have time for that. They seem to be doing well with just the audio, and then they'd be able to go back and reflect on it or re-analyze it again, go back to that particular session and go to the particular section that they need and pick up that information by visually seeing, like, how do you fill out a fact, or how do you do factoring, how do you fill out a carrier packet, invoicing, and all that good stuff. And then obviously, certificate prep, we do have test questions and everything in there. So that'll bring you up to speed. But you also don't get leads and stuff like that. That's for people that are doing the full course, um, but because you're only buying the book. But if you do want to change, even after you get the book, we do allow that. But there is a fee for that because, I hate to say it, everything costs. There's nothing free because it's not a matter of what we're doing, but it's the matter of time it takes for us to reschedule and move things around to what, we try to give you all the information and data ahead of time to what's the best path. And we do understand situations change and we're more than willing to compensate or, adjust for that. But just remember, try to make the best choice the first time. That way you won't have no unnecessary costs applied. Now, obviously, you can get it done in less than 30 days. I got people that knock it out in 2 weeks. Um, Obviously, if you do the course by the book and you want to get the certificate, I mean, like, say, for example, if even if you just want to get certified, let's say you have it and you just want our certification for us to sign off for you is $125. Now, in the ability to take the test, you get 3 pops at it. It's 50 questions, 1 hour to take it. And they're all scenario-based questions. So don't think I'm giving anything away. I make them hard. That's the purpose behind it. But it's nothing outside the normal routines, but it's just bad situations that you do actually end up dealing with. And some of the ones that I've actually dealt with. And so that kind of addresses that. So to make sure that you know what you're doing. Because when you go to work for people or yourself, there ain't going to be nobody here. Tom, how do I do this? Outside of getting a hold of me, they're expecting that you know what you're doing if you're going to be a remote freight dispatcher for some of these companies that do allow you to be a remote dispatcher for them. Now, built-in boards to launch your career. Yes, there's job boards. If you want to be a driver recruiter, that's because people end up hiring drivers on the side because they end up crossing them because we're in logistics. So if you want to know more about the driver recruiting section, that's something in addition. Boost your earnings with social media. Absolutely. The reason we put this out there is because there's so much you can do with social media these days. So make sure you look over this or look into the social media aspect and understand how that can be incorporated. You as a freight dispatcher, but also in your learning experience and everything. We got YouTube, we got social media on everything. If you go to the front of the truckdrivernation.com, there's a whole list of social media platforms there that will easily help you understand that. This is your certification, and that being the point with the certification, driver companies, whether they're carriers, independent freight dispatchers that have their own business, whether asset-based carriers or whatever it is, they want certified dispatchers. Now, whatever y'all do on the pay, I can't quote on that because everybody gets paid differently based on what you're willing to negotiate. Now, maximize your potential with Truck Driver Nation webinars. If we got a webinar, you're more than willing to come to it. It gives you a moment to even social network a little bit at the end of it. So if this is something you think that would help you and apply to what your needs are, then please let us know. We send them out. We do them about every Wednesday. The reason we do that because there's just too many people that want to come into the webinars, and I use Ring Central, and it's hard to accommodate after a certain number of people. Freight disc, the final exam. Final exam is going to be in the back of the when you get your website turned on or your classroom turned on. There's tests that they're practice tests. That way you can practice the test before you actually go take your test, so you can understand how they're laid out, the questions and the overall scenario base, how they're going to be asked. And obviously, when you're doing them, it'll give you the answer and then the rationale behind that. And there's been questions that we've had. People's like, "Oh, no, it should be this way. Should be this way." There's a reason why it's one way, and the rationale is exactly the way it is. I don't really negotiate on it because I've had enough people go through them, and we've seen the answers and everything. And I get it. And when I was a nursing student, there was questions I had. I was like, "Oh, hell no!" But I'm thinking as a paramedic transferring over into nursing, and the same principle as this for my truck drivers. You're a truck driver, now you're transferring over into freight dispatching, and so sometimes your point of view is still in the truck driver state of mind and not necessarily in the freight dispatcher state of mind because now you're on the other side of the fence and now you're reflecting the other direction, if that makes sense. Perform training video, platform training videos. Yes, we got everything, but these platforms were in reference to software. So we got the training videos in there, and all I did was make it according to what the normal steps that you would use as a freight dispatcher. I'm not teaching you every piece of platform, but this reason we did this is for those people that were not platform or software savvy. Half this stuff you probably don't even need, but you can always still go back to old school pencil and paper. Whatever best see fits your way of learning or applying your skills, in that aspect. Okay, this is a scenario of a test question. So as you can see, there's the test question, there's the answers, it gives B, and then it gives rationale. And this is how the test questions actually look. So when you do the actual test, it'll have just the scenario, then the questions. But when we give it back to you, it'll obviously have the answers, and it should have the scenario with it if needed. Most time we just give the test questions back, say you failed or you passed. But for some people that really insist that they want this, we don't mind doing it, but it takes us time to do it. This is going to be the video store back in the back. So, you can actually do um, if you just want the videos and you don't want to take the course because you already know stuff, then you're more than willing, I mean, more than able to go back here and just pick out the videos that you need. And then if you want to take the certification test, which is still a fee, then you obviously can do it this way as well. We don't really have that many people that do it this way, but it was all alternative because we had been asked, and I probably should have had more background to see if this would work. But instead, what it did help in if you're an actual full-fledged freight dispatch students, all those videos in that video library you have access to for free, in addition to all the content that's inside the textbook. Car hauling. Excuse me, give me a second. I'm losing it. Okay, for car hauling. My goodness. Car hauling. If you want to know about car hauling and dispatching, there is an extra fee for this. So, because car hauling is a very particular field, for me to teach you how to do this, it ain't a lot extra, but I do charge for doing this. The last person I did, I charged them a couple $100. That made it worth me being the pain in the ass because it's not just I'm teaching you car hauling, but I'm having to explain to you the dynamics of cars themselves. Because, for example, this is a 9-car easy loader, and when you look at car haulers enough, like I say, you can easily see the difference. The tractor is painted different than the trailer. That right there telling me that that wasn't coming with that trailer. So as long as that trailer matches the manufacturer's front rack, then that trailer should accommodate positions 1, 2, and 5. I mean 1, 2, and 6, and because that's going to be the ones that are on the tractor itself, because there's lifts that come up and down, so you can move that trucks or those cars and trucks and everything on and off that trailer easily. So when we go through here, I cannot give you everything because there's high rail. This is considered a mid rail. Then you got an easy loader, and then you got like might be a 7-car 5307 XL, etc. So I give you the gist of what you're looking at, and when you're helping your car hauler to actually get the cars for their trucks, because you're the one actually picking them out based on the cars that came off. And you might need to call them and ask them, hey, position 4, will it take this type of vehicle? And their experience, they will know. But at the same time, you don't want to be calling them about 10 cars when you should have had a general idea based on the weight that just came off and the size of that car to find a replacement within a certain region. Otherwise, you just need to make them keep on moving on because it's wasting too much time, because your balance between keeping the trailer loaded and the time coefficient and getting to your next area, because these are not really set up on appointment times. It's basically you get there, you knock on the door, or you give them a phone call and say, hell, I've said wake up, come get your car, because I was a car hauler for about 7 years or just over 7 years. But anyways, that's if you need this, please let me know and we'll talk about it. Okay, Truck Driver Nations, partner with us. Now, if you want to partner with us, that means we're giving you owner operators as we get them. If we do 2% off of whatever the gross value is. Um, People say, well, and we've had them try to screw us over in this deal, and it won't happen. Trust me, I've been doing this a long time. Everything's already in checks and balances way before anything else gets any further. So if you want this, it is actually great for people that are not necessarily great at recruiting, But you're going to still have to recruit drivers as well. We just get them as they come based on references and stuff. And I have to know that you're able to do this because I will not recommend somebody if I saw that you were a slacker for a student. But if I can see you're well engaged and your best interest and intentions really don't matter to me because you've got to have the skill set. If I see that you're proficient, then obviously I will make that call and then discuss it with you. I've got an owner operator. Or you do have enough time based on what you're already doing? Do you think you can accommodate this given owner operator? Y'all will discuss it. And if it works out, then if so, then we set up a contract where we get 2% off the gross revenue that this driver does. And if they decide to leave, then obviously that kills that contract. And if we have another owner operator, if you need it, then obviously we'll replace them for you if we have it at that given point. But like I tell people, always keep recruiting. If somebody leaves you, you don't want to be missing spot on your overall load board because you're dispatching trucks and now you're short a truck. Now, on the owner operators, the whole point behind what we're doing is I'm teaching you how to deal with owner operators without going to a carrier. If you choose this route, there's certain things, and you need to know why it's so much more beneficial for them to actually go with you as an independent freight dispatcher versus them going with a company. And these different things like trucks, trailers, fuel cards, load boards, MCs, et cetera, that will all be discussed. But just keep that in mind that that's a very important factor. And you're not trying to sell a service, you're trying to get them to understand and what you need to understand why it is like this and how it benefits them greater if they come with a very proficient freight dispatcher that's working independently versus going with a full-fledged carrier. Now, what I charge is 10 to 8%. The reason I do it, 10% for one truck, 8% for more than one truck, and that is it. I don't go no less than that. My time is worth money, and that's just how it does. But thing is, everybody I've got has been with me for a minute, so I don't really, really stress on this. But thing is, whatever you're charging, make sure that you're satisfied with it. Don't cry to them later because you didn't price yourself correctly for your services and what you're wanting to, give them. And I'll teach you a lot about services, not just what you're doing for them as a freight dispatcher, but other services that actually you can incorporate. They're easy enough to incorporate that you can actually offer them. And you'd be surprised at what they need that you'd still have in your hands just by being associated with Truck Driver Nation. Okay, so the next one is going to be, give me a second. I'm trying to read the title. Okay, actually, this is about the services because for me, I offer them free driver recruiting. If they got more in truck, don't charge because I'm dispatching their truck. So why am I going to charge them? Free dispatcher training, since I do have a course, I offer their family, one member of their family. It has to be an actual immediate member of their family. I offer them a free dispatch training course if we're dispatching their equipment. Direct shipper access, that's all going to depend on how we're working it because I don't want to just get them a direct shipper. Now we're looking at net 30, net 60 or whatever because these drivers need the money to keep flowing in order to keep those fuel tanks full. Other tools, those are other accessory tools, and we'll go over that with the program or what else you have to offer in your services. Don't get too many owner operators. You can outrun your ability to keep them up and moving. So don't stretch yourself too thin. Pace yourself and let your business grow organically to some degree, but don't try to take on the world when you yourself are not ready. Dispatching tools, we've got a full aspect of dispatch tools, things that are going to be cost you zero. So make sure you go through your dispatch tools when you get signed up. So you say, well, thank goodness I ain't got to pay for this, I ain't got to pay for that, etc. This is everything. Also, in addition, we got contracts, we got different services and products that were supplied by us from Truck Driver Nation. And it saves you a lot of money, a lot of agony, and then having to figure out how to do it. So you don't have to write contracts and stuff. They're all downloadable, easily accessible, and they're ready to go for you. Different payment plans, payment options. These are some of the forms of payment that we take. And so, like I said, you can pay in full, you can use Afterpay or pay as you go. This is going to be the way that we obviously do easy payments and things like that. And obviously, if you do a dispatcher, and if you want to learn to do freight brokerage or be a freight agent, freight dispatcher, because we don't have a freight dispatcher, even I'm associated with somebody that has a brokerage license, which kind of sucks because that means I'm appreciating him, don't get me wrong, but it still charges me money out of the overall money that I would be making. So that kind of is a bad thing. But like I tell people, if you know somebody's got a brokerage license, they're willing to give me a better deal, and it would help the people that I'm actually training because then it would benefit everybody all the way around. But anyways, we'll go over this and well once you get going. Okay, contracting with independent dispatcher, we allow you to cover dispatch drivers. It's the same principle. It's the 2%. So just keep that in mind. This slide actually needs to be pulled out. Choosing the learning format that fits you. Like I said, we can do in class or virtual. I would definitely tell you that right now I'm just not really doing no in class. I'm so busy. I'm the only one that teaches. I'm not going to trust somebody else to teach my course unless I know that they know what they're doing. And right now, I just don't have nobody up to that level. I've had people offer, but I'm sorry, but it takes a lot to make sure that you're not hurting people, even when you're being an instructor. But so we do everything virtually, whether you just want to do the textbook or you want to do the full course virtually, then that's fine. And it makes a difference because you still have one-on-one counseling and consulting with me to make sure that you're moving forward. But make sure you remember you got engagement. You're virtual. I don't know where you're at and what you're doing. So remember, unless you reach out, I don't know where you're at mentally and strategically in your overall learning strategy. Now, how our payment team membership works, you got two options, okay? This is the one that majority of people go with. They pay us $500, and then on the back end, because it's really a trolley, the program's $2,500. They give us 2% of their gross revenue for 2 years, or they decide I'm making real good money and they just give us $2,000. Even if you're going to make payments, it has to be consistently in payments to clear the $2,000. So we usually let them break it up to basically four payments. And so if you do 500, 500, 500, but it has to be week, 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 week. If it goes, we don't do month, 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 month. So it has to be $2,000 and you're done with us. Okay. So keep that in mind. But we give options so that nobody feels like they're under the burden of being stuck with us if you're not feeling it. And we totally get it. I'm the same type of person as well. One-time payment option. If you just want to pay a one-time payment and just be done with everything, this is the cheapest route, but a lot of people just don't have $1,250. So with that right there, 1,250 bucks, you ain't hung on no contracts. We give you every single thing that we give everybody else. And that way you can move forward without any hesitation. So keep that in mind for the 1,250. Build your freight dispatcher website. We got somebody that does build very inexpensive but very good websites. This website that you actually see in truckdrivernation.com, I built it, but I wish I'd met him beforehand, and he really does excellent work. So if you need this service, keep it in mind, and we will definitely hook you up with him. Unlimited support to build your freight dispatching business. Absolutely. This is going to be back end help. This is going to be if you're wanting to outsource. So whichever way you want to look at this. So if you need dispatchers looking to outsource, we got that. Resell or refer services for profit. If you want to do that, we got where we'll actually support whatever you got as long as we're making affiliate payment, a profit on it, then we have no problem in doing anything. I have sold people's MCs, I've sold their trucks, I've sold their trailers, anything that you need moved. Um, you got to, in trucking, this is one of those things where you can't just depend on one thing in my mind's eye. But you got to remember, I'm more seated in transportation than a lot of people. So, just keep that in mind. So if you refer people, you got 7 people referred, you get all your tuition paid for free. So if you're interested in that, let us know. Let's see. 70% if you actually get anybody that gets hired onto a trucking company, whatever they pay us, they usually pay us between $700 to $1,200. We do got a couple that don't pay that much. They're literally like around $500, but that's only like 2 different companies I have. Everybody else is 700 to 1,200. I do got some that pay as much as 2,500, but that's a very strict, hard ones to find. For me, I don't even look for them. I just look for the regular truck drivers, whether they're students or whatever, and they're going to do dry van, reefer, flatbed, or step deck. It's pretty straightforward. Get them boarded. They get the orientation. Some of them require that they actually take their first load before that company will pay us. But once they pay us, then obviously the money, if you got Zelle or something, we easily just send that money to you or whatever platform like PayPal or whatever, and we send you over what's due. We don't do it like paid whatever like in a week with freight with driver recruiting is paid immediately as soon as we receive the funds from whichever carrier. This is an ad, so if you have driver companies that you yourself need drivers for, please let us know. We put the ads on our website, so that way we don't charge nothing. All we charge is for when you actually get a driver from the ads because we're basically recruiting for you as well. If you want to post an ad in here, we do charge a flat rate of $100 and it just stays in there. So for that, keep it in mind if that helps you out. Just remember, we've got everything. We got people for new students, SAP students, people that need to actually get training. So we got basically everything in there. So if you need to help somebody out, make sure you go back and visit the job boards. Okay, the NDA, that's non-disclosure agreement. This is on stuff that we actually help you to understand how we're going to help you save money, and it comes part of the program. So, but we have to make sure we got to see I hate to say, see what kind of person you are. It's not in that sense. We have to make sure that you understand that some stuff, business strategies and techniques, you don't need to be sharing. Because other people will use it against you and don't think they won't. The reason we give it to you is because I've been in 30 years. You're not going to destroy my business. I know a lot more than just this. So what I do is I give you some small things that will help you free, but they're big um, things that actually help you in your business strategy. They may seem small, but they're really big. And so keep that in mind, and we'll address that if we cross that bridge, if you decide you're interested in it. Okay, let's see. This is going to be training course. Okay, this is going to be the one where if you got your own training course and you want to be a freight dispatcher trainer. So what we've had, we actually train for some other schools. They just don't know how to do it well, I guess. I'm not criticizing because I still work basically for them because they pay me to train their students. So if you end up building you a freight dispatching program, in the essence that you're selling the program, then because if you send me somebody and we actually they attend school, you get 20% of the $500. But if you're actually doing your own program and you're selling it, then obviously we'll discuss and we'll negotiate a fee for every student you send us. We will get them up to speed and get them certified. So I do the training on those students. A lot of people don't like it that they're being third party, so always make sure keep that in mind because I represent your company, but in truth, I can't really change my name from Truck Driver Nation to anything else, but we do train those students for you. Starting out strong, operating on the Truck Driver Nation. So you can use our brand and everything. We do make you sign a contract. There are certain things you can't do, but overall, this gives you opportunity that you're an established freight dispatcher, so it helps you to get going. Some people, I hate to say it, I have to be real stringent on this with some people. People have tried to test it. You can't use, you're not going to be able to use certain qualities about our business because, we are an actual operating business. But as far as using us for, quality, as far as having a name out there, you've been there for a minute, we do help you in that aspect because remember, I'm still a mentor to you if you want to utilize me. But at some point, we basically give it. It depends on the situation. Depends because if you're not growing, then that's not a good because you need to build your own brand name. But we do help this initially for people that need this. So don't feel like you got to whatever. You just get it going because if they end up calling me and I didn't know about it or something, then I'm gonna say I'm gonna deny it because I have no idea who did it. But the thing is, usually within about 90 days, people have already started building their brand. Some people already got their MCs, hell, even before they get done with the course. So it depends on what you want to do. And we can go over this about why you should get an MC, why you shouldn't get an MC, and all that good stuff as well. So you can build you a strategy on how you want to handle this. Affiliate programs, like I said again, sign up for the affiliate program. Anything you sell, whether it's shirts, any program, anything we have that you sell, and because you'll know who they are. If you start selling a bunch of stuff, we put you on a board so we can see who you're selling to and everything, and when it went through, so we can confirm it. Then obviously you get paid for it. Most of it's going to be 20% unless you're doing truck driver recruiting. That's 70%. This is really it. So, I appreciate you visiting this. I hope this made it better because when I'm doing it with a bunch of people, it makes it a little bit more stringent. So, obviously, if you have questions, go back and review this content again. If you have questions, there's easily our phone number, there's our email, as well as our website. So, I hope this helped you out overall. And obviously, if you do attend the webinar at like the next page, now we'll actually open it up for Q&A session. So, if you do want to attend a webinar, take that phone number that you just seen before, which will also be listed down below. and send us your email, and we'll sign you up for the next webinar. We send out the indication 1 hour before the time that it starts on that given date. So that way you can attend, and I go through the same stuff. It's literally the same process right here. But at the end of it, you obviously get to ask actual live questions. But make sure you also know all of our content. Contact information is below. If you have questions or anything, please send them to us. Whether you text them to us, I prefer you text them to us because we respond a lot faster. But we do get people commenting, and I do get to those, but it's not always. It might take me 48 hours before I finally get to them because we try to keep on because we build a lot of content based on what people's needs are. And that's it. So I appreciate you taking your time to watch this content. I hope this helped you out, gives you a better understanding of the services that we provide. There's actually more stuff than this, but this is the streamlined, most important points that people have a strong interest in. But if you have questions and concerns, get a hold of us and or give us a call. But I appreciate your time and thank you for visiting Truck Driver Nation. Please like or subscribe if this actually presentation helped you. And I thank you so much.